to be on this panel and this important discussion. I think our topic is crucial, but I'd like to suggest that we reverse the order of how we think about it. Before we can think about what we should fund, I'd suggest we should decide our priorities, set our priorities, decide why we have them. Then I think we might have some more success in getting the funding we need. So what are our priorities? How might we consider that? What do we really want to do? Many of you might know this map. It's from the World Bank. For the past 6 years, the World Bank has been trying to teach us all a new term, learning poverty. Why? Because they want to galvanize action from all of us to change the current situation, to change a shocking reality. Where I live in sub-Saharan Africa, on average, only 1 out of 10 children can read a simple sentence like, "A cat sat on the mat" at 10 years old. 1. In the rest of the world, it's the rest of low-income and lower-middle-income countries, it's still only 3. The reverse of that is how they describe learning poverty, that it's 9 children living in learning poverty, or 7 children living in learning poverty. That should sound devastating. It should be something we want to change. But are we? Have we galvanized action over the past 6 years? So this map actually shows you where there are learning assessments that are aligned to SDG 4 to be submitted to UNESCO as part of tracking what is happening. In the past 6 years leading up to 2023, only 37 countries turned in any data at all. 95 countries have nothing. If we're not measuring it, we don't know what's happening. And the situation is so bad that in 2023, the UN lowered the priority of this reporting, and this year is considering whether they'll remove reporting against SDG 4 on learning entirely, and only have reporting on enrollment, because at least 200 countries are reporting on enrollment. Let's be honest with ourselves. If we only report on enrollment, we're not going to push forward on a focus on learning. Think about the consequences of that. Remember? In much of the world, only 3 out of children can read a simple sentence, even when they're 10. In some places, it's 1. You have children spending 6 years in primary school. They're there. It's not that they're not there. They're there. And they can't read that sentence even when they're 12 or 14. That is a waste of that child's promise. It's a waste of their ability to support their family. And it is a waste of the money that you are spending if you're in a situation right now where you have that level of learning poverty. Yet, the biggest asset we all have is the minds of our people. It is the minds of the adults today. It is the minds of those children who are the adults of tomorrow. And so if you worry about politics, which I'm sure everyone in this room does, even if you wish you didn't have to, a failing school is the most tangible artifact of a failing government. It is incredibly visible to all of those families that their children are not learning. Believe me, they know it long before you do. Yet the flip side is also true. A government school that delivers effective public services, it is felt by every family, and that government is rightly recognized as being a good one. And beyond politics, let's talk a little bit about economics. We're going to get to some funding questions. Consider 1960, South Korea and Sub-Saharan Africa. Back then, they both had basically the same GDP per capita, about $150 per person. What is it now in South Korea? Over 36,000. That's an increase of 240 times. What's the change in Sub-Saharan Africa been on average over that same period? Same amount of time. Only 10, we're up to about 1,600 GDP per capita. What was the big difference over that time? South Korea invested effectively in public education, not just enrollment, but ensuring that at a national level, children becoming youth, becoming adults, could read with true comprehension, could perform algebra, were ready to start their own businesses, create new factories, create new ideas, create a new workforce. So in short, both from a short-term political, what's going to get recognized as the right thing by your families, the right thing for your government, and for long-term economics, I would suggest that the priority should still remain, if you haven't solved it yet, foundational learning, and that you need to measure that rigorously and hold your own systems accountable to deliver that. So if we had that priority, what could we do to actually deliver on these better outcomes? There's starting to be more convergent research on this. There's a lot more research that exists now than did 10 years ago. If we look at even what is shared across both the World Bank and the Gates Foundation, two of the biggest advocates, one of them the biggest funder. We have pre-primary education, we have structured pedagogy, we have targeting instruction at your children's current learning levels, having assessments to measure that, implementation fidelity, and system reform and delivery. So the first one, if you can finance, and UNESCO asks each of you to do this, 1 year of free compulsory education, please do it. But even if you do finance 1 year of pre-primary education, you still have to do the rest of these things, or else most likely your children won't be learning and you won't know it. So where can we go from there? So the next thing is structured pedagogy. This used to be debated, it's now no longer a debate. Like having extensive support for teachers that provides them with lesson plans that build upon the courses that are designed to meet your state or national syllabi has been proven in dozens and dozens of countries and over a decade to be the most effective way to raise the floor, to support teachers to perform their best. And you can also still identify your highest performing teachers by measuring their outcomes and then learning from them. But structured pedagogy isn't just lesson plans. To do it right, as advocated by both the Bank and the Gates Foundation, you need additional teacher training, teacher coaching, best classroom management practices. Here it's even showing you need to have a coach for your teacher who actually watches their lesson and really try to digitize that so you have that data too. And have those assessments. But so I still find, if I'm honest with you, one of the strangest conversations I have with ministries and leaders is when they don't want to teach at the right level. So that red line shows the level of content that is appropriate according to that national standard for a grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 child. Like if you had learned what you're supposed to learn in grade 1, now you go up. Now your content level should be at 2. Eventually you should be up there at 6. Those blue dots though are where those children actually are. This is real data from one state in India and in a different state in Nigeria. If you ask your teachers to use the content that is, say, grade 4 content in the state of Nigeria, you are not enabling a single child to learn because the content is orders of magnitude too hard for them. They haven't learned the basics yet. So in these places where we are struggling with learning poverty, we need to be open to measuring and then be willing to meet the children where they are, not just in maybe 1 hour after school, but actually in your core syllabus, in your core day. If you do that, you will see magic happen. Now, I'm gonna go super fast through the last minute with the Mishat's grace. So once you start digitizing things, once you start having these connections to your schools, and you can have them, I'm gonna be fast, I'm just gonna push it fast. Some people think that digital public infrastructure is something for wealthy countries. It is not. Every single country in the world already has access to how to create digital public infrastructure for their public schools. All you need is 2G internet. Some countries now have satellite internet that's incredibly affordable. Across Rwanda, all teacher practice and teacher engagement, school leader engagement, everything they do with their lessons every day, all of their attendance work is all digitized. It is available from the head teacher up to the ministry with a data cost of less than $2 per month. It is neither expensive nor out of your reach. And once you do that, you can know where your teachers are. You can know not only where they are and there, you can know when they show up, you can know this teacher struggles at always being late on Tuesday. You can call him. I've actually heard a governor call a teacher when they have access to this level of data, and it is amazing to hear the change in a teacher's voice when a senior member of government calls them and says, "Are you okay? Serafina, you're an hour late for school today. Do you need help?" And believe me, Serafina tells that story to every single person she has ever met in her entire life. And pretty soon throughout all communities, the impact of the care that that government gave is known, and teacher attendance goes up. You can track whether your materials are being used if you digitize your systems. And again, it's not expensive. The first time we supported digitizing all teacher materials was because doing it was cheaper than printing. We could support getting a tablet in every teacher's hands for less than we were paying for the teacher materials that they were otherwise going to use. And then you can actually know what's happening. And now the AI advancements, we gotta always go there. You can take all of that and even today, just using smartphones, if you want to, you can provide a personalized AI teacher coach for every single teacher, just with a smartphone. You can listen, the teacher can hear back their lessons, they can have feedback on their pacing, on their tone, whether they ask enough questions of the kids, they can get feedback on whether they answered a question correctly, and they can have that as much as you want them to have it. It's not anymore like something far away or only something Finland can afford. You can afford it. You can have assessments, you can have your teachers know exactly what they need to do and which answers were right and which were wrong and which you need to reteach, and you can also know which of your material your curriculum team should work on if you actually digitize everything. So like here, just as a last quick thing, it's like these children are rapidly underperforming on fraction and decimals, right? So it's like things get harder over here, here's how many people got it right. This tells you, and this is common, that often fractions and decimals are not taught correctly. When you use structured pedagogy, you can often raise that floor, but even this would tell you if this was a structured pedagogy situation, there's still something wrong with those lessons. They need to be improved to ensure more children are able to succeed. Now, if you do that, remember, here's my quick political and economic push to you. The most correlated way to increase your GDP over the next 15 years is to improve the cognitive skills of your current population. How are you going to do that? To improve your basic education. So this isn't a waste of money, it is an investment, and it will be politically popular if it is successful. So you will have your president or your governor and your minister of finance on side if you're willing to commit to measuring learning and holding yourself and everyone who works for you accountable to it. And then the funding will come. Thank you.